What's up, Wham Fam? Welcome to episode 17 of Wine About Movies. This week, we are popping a bottle to Super Troopers 2, the long-anticipated follow-up to a cult comedy classic. My name is Brendan, and kicking this show off with me across the country, we got the one and only...
Hey guys, Chel here, your favorite New York City-based wine drinker, wine writer, wine lover, and creator of ChelLovesWine.com. Holding it down on the East Coast over here.
Chel, I saw you're taping something yesterday. Do you have a new wine video up to share?
I do. So our podcast comes out on Wednesday, so the video will be up tomorrow. I'm doing a rosé roundup. So I have 12 rosés I think you guys should try this summer. We'll link it down below so you can go check it out.
That sounds good. I hear something barking in the background.
Yeah, that would be my pup. He is also in the video, and he's having a fit right now that he is not in here with me.
Now, here at Wine About Movies, we like to pair Hollywood's biggest releases with the finest wines around. Now, the big marketing shtick behind Super Troopers 2 was that it was being released on 420, annual celebratory day of Miracle Plant, the big pharmaceuticals have needlessly lobbied against for 80 years day, and we were going to try to get some type of, believe it or not, this does exist, folks, cannabis wine, and it is hard to find. Despite the legalization and accessibility of the assorted cannabis products in California, I couldn't find any. Chel, you probably don't have anything 100 miles of you.
No, definitely nothing on the East Coast in terms of weed wine. But I know Rebel Coast Winery in California does make it, but it is really expensive. So if you guys are in California and want to spend some dough on some weed wine, I recommend Rebel Coast.
Rebel Coast. All right, well, this was not that movie, though. I think the 420 was a silly... Whatever, we'll get into that in a little bit. But we did do, instead of celebrating on 420, we're going to celebrate Earth Day, and we're going to pop a bottle of one of the finest drinks in all the lands. Today we have an Icewine. Chel, does this come from the Arctic? What is going on?
Yeah, so Icewine is super cool. It's also another really expensive wine. So Icewine is, it's a type of wine that is really, really sweet. So it's kind of like syrupy and sweet, and it's known as a dessert wine. So you leave the grapes on the vines until they're frozen. So you want the temperature to be about 20 degrees when you pick them. And what happens is all of the water inside the grape freezes, so you're just left with like the sugars. So when these frozen grapes get pressed, they make a much sweeter wine, which is really good. So you're not going to want to pour like a whole glass of this. Like dessert wines are for sipping. They're for casual enjoyment.
Check out this glass.
Because they are very sweet. Oh, that's a cool glass.
I don't know what this is normally used for. Is this a wine glass?
Yeah, that would probably be for like champagne. You could put a cocktail in that probably. You could probably even do a white wine, but that's a perfect dessert wine glass. You just want something small and nice that'll just get the job done.
Well, as far as dessert goes, I haven't even had breakfast yet, but let's do it. Why not? So mine, I have the Jackson Triggs from Niagara Estate. It came in a box. And let me tell you, Chel, I have never been so appetized. Can I read to you the back of the box?
Please.
Extracted through a very gentle pressing process, these special grapes yield an intense concentration of sugars, acidity, and flavors. The vibrant aromatics of this sweet nectar soften after fermentation into the silken wine specialty that is loved the world over. An exquisite nectar, Chel.
So seductive that labeling is.
Yes, like I can't even, but I'm so going to. Here we go.
Yes, because guys, obviously Super Troopers 2 is filmed on the Canadian-Vermont border, so we picked a Canadian ice wine. A lot of them come from Toronto and the surrounding area because obviously it's very cold in Canada, so they are able to have the grapes naturally freeze on the vines. So some people try to make ice wine where they artificially freeze the grapes to get them to that low temperature and to get the water frozen inside them, but they legally can't call that ice wine, so they call it iced wine, like ICED. So that's like it's like a cheap way. This one that you have from Canada is like naturally frozen on the vine, which is what you want. You want the grapes still intact with everything going on, and it just makes for an overall better wine. And ice wine can be made with any type of grape. So you can do Pinot Noir. You can do it with, it has to obviously be a grape that grows in a cold climate like a Cabernet would or Riesling.
So I can't do a Petit Syrah. I can't be it. Maybe I can. I'm not sure.
You might be able to. I'm sure you can get artificially frozen ones. So you can do this with any type of grape. This wine originates really from Germany, where they do it with Riesling, and they make super sweet Riesling. So like in Germany, ice wine is a big, big thing.
Well,
will also cost you lots of money. So
yeah, most of the bottles, like, I think the average price I went online was like, yeah, Icewine sounds like a great idea. Let's take a look. They're like $200.
Yeah.
But Guess where I went, Chel? Guess what bailed? I've called every Rhine store in LA this morning within the immediate. I called like probably 7 or 8 stores, and there's only one place that had anything under 100. Guess where?
Bevmo.
Bevmo, $27. The Jackson Triggs.
And what's the varietal on that? Is that a Chardonnay or?
It is. It says Vital Icewine, Sweet Wine, Vin Blanc d'Eau, Vital.
That means white wine.
Yeah, but Peninsula Vital.
It might be a combination. It might be a varietal, like a combination of grapes.
Yeah, maybe. Well, here we go. So you're saying I don't quite need... Oh, it's golden. My goodness. It's no wonder it's so expensive. It's golden wine. It's literally gold. I've never seen a golden wine. Like white wines are like white. This is gold. Yeah,
that's from like all of the aging that it gets. And so it's going to be really like honey and...
It smells like honey.
Caramel. You know, it's going to have all those like luxurious notes. And it's going to have like a little toasty quality to it. Oh my
gosh. This is so good.
Yeah, they are really, really amazing.
It's kind of like you get an apple cider, and it almost is kind of like a cider.
And the consistency is different too, right? Do you taste it? It's like a little thicker?
Yeah, it is a bit thicker. Yeah. It's
because there's so much sugar in there.
Oh, that's why I don't want to drink a lot. It's probably loaded, huh? This is not keto friendly.
Definitely not. There's a ton of sugar in it, but it's...
Wow.
It's just the nature of the wine. It's really, really good. I would suggest if you want to eat this with something, like do it with another sweet food, like cheesecake or ice cream or like anything like that. Like, can you imagine dumping a little bit of that wine over some ice cream, Brendan?
I might have to. I mean, on the West Coast, we're not big ice cream folks. We're more yogurt, but I will find some ice cream, and I will do so. Wow, I poured like half a glass and half the bottle's gone. Also,
yeah, they come in very skinny bottles.
I will have to certainly cap this and save the rest of it for a little bit later.
Yes.
Because I feel like if I finish the whole bottle during this podcast, I'm going to have such a crazy sugar crash later.
Oh, you really are. You really are. But that would be just like people in Super Troopers, like that fat dude who was just swallowing M&Ms whole.
Oh, like Farva, that eating the M&Ms. Yeah, that was good. I mean, like, so for those that don't know, if you haven't seen Super Troopers 1, it's a cult comedy classic, and it was the story's pretty neat behind it. I think the filmmakers that have stayed together, and they've dubbed themselves the Brozen Lizard comedy troupe. Super Troopers was the first big one, then Club Dread. Everybody knows Beer Fest. That was in 2006. They've had a couple others since then, but the big one that everyone's been waiting for, Super Troopers 2, and I think they had like a GoFundMe page for it.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was saying, that I heard that nobody wanted to make the movie with them, so they did a GoFundMe page to try to make up the funds.
I mean, it came out through Fox Searchlight, and Fox Searchlight, I don't know the finer points of how this movie got acquired and a theatrical release, but Fox Searchlight is, a subdivision of 20th Century Fox, and they're the ones that pick up a lot of motion pictures that are released. 3 Billboards from Ebbing, Missouri, and The Shape of Water, both released through Fox Searchlight. So they do cater to some of the smaller projects. Nothing too small, but yeah, I'm kind of surprised that this one wasn't a larger studio back then. I mean, when you look at it, you can see it's not the biggest crazy big studio project. And to me, honestly, like part of the reason I really didn't like it was just it felt like more like an episodic, but it was the next chapter of the Super Troopers TV show. Like, it was funny, I laughed at parts of it, but it just didn't have any like real weight to it. It just didn't, and it was kind of the same thing as the first one, not in the best way though either. It's like, oh, well, you guys did something dumb, now your jobs are threatened, you're going to lose your jobs, and there's never any real stakes or sense of dire need for them to change who they are or overcome being numbskulls. I mean, it was funny, but...
I didn't think it was funny at all. I fell asleep in the movie theater because I thought it was so boring. I couldn't wait for it to be over. It was just not my cup of tea. The humor wasn't very good. I think I laughed out loud once. I did like a ha, like one time. That was it. I really didn't enjoy it at all. Like, the wine shouldn't even be paired with a movie like this because the wine is like a trillion times better than...
I totally agree with you there. The movie. I like that we did the movie just so I can try the Icewine, because I've been meaning to try Icewine for a very long time. Neat thing about the original Super Troopers, supposedly those guys, it got into Sundance, and when they got the acceptance letter, they pulled all their collective money together just to afford gas to get there, so they spent their final bucks to get to Sundance, and the movie played there, and it's been, a huge hit since.
Yeah, that's so great because I know that we mentioned that they had to do like a GoFundMe page. So I just looked it up and they did an Indiegogo page. So same thing basically where they raised $4.7 million just on their Indiegogo. They had another $8 million in conventional private funding and $2.8 million in Massachusetts tax breaks, I guess.
Oh, how much in mass tax breaks?
2.8 million.
Yeah, that's crazy. They get that much money back because they shot it there. The Northeast New York is big for it too. Yeah, if you basically spend like $1 million a production budget, you get 40% of your below the line budget back. So below the line budget is everything basically names that you don't know, like Steven Spielberg or Leonardo DiCaprio, or names that bill a movie. Those are called above the line because states do not reimburse that type of crazy expense. However, because really like paying Johnny Depp $10 million isn't going to do a dime for the local economy. But if you put 200 laborers to work building a set, or union grips or gaffers, whatever they may be, yes, those are where the tax breaks come from. And Massachusetts, yeah, they've got a pretty hefty chunk set aside too. So that's cool.
That's really nice because, so I guess the total cost of the movie was $13.5 million.
That's crazy. Why did they spend $13 million on it? Before we go any farther, folks, let's take a quick break to hear from our sponsor.
So guys, I've talked to you before about my studio headphones that I'm so obsessed with. I just got a new style in. They're called the Tray, the TRE. They're a wireless headphone that fit in ears, so they're an earbud. They are so comfortable for working out, for on the train, for wanting to look discreet without an over-the-ear headphone. Totally obsessed with them. You guys can get your own pair from studio.com by using code WINEAboutMovies for 15% off. Studio.com. You guys definitely need a pair.
All right, folks, we are back. Coming back at you. Where were we? Super Troopers 2. So for those that don't know the story, this won't be much of a spoiler, but the Super Troopers are back. They're cops. They're highway patrolmen in Vermont, and supposedly the story of the film goes is that when the land was divided up between the U.S. and Canada, in the state of Vermont, the state border markers were laid out incorrectly, so actually there's a little town in Canada that should be a town in the U.S. So the cops, they've been suspended again for something that happened in between the movies. They're working construction. Then the governor, I guess, of the state appoints them to be this interim police force to help segue out the Mounties and in with the cops. So a lot of the first half of the movie is all these jokes about kilometers versus miles. There's some funny jokes there. But eventually it gets to the point, the Super Troopers are trying to get revenge on the Mounties for giving them such a hard time, so they impersonate Mounties, and that was the funniest 10 minutes. Like, when they're just doing all the silly French accents, like, I don't know if I'm ashamed for, like, laughing at that. I mean, it was funny. I mean...
Oh, that was my favorite part, too. And the French accents, some of them were, like, so good and some of them were so bad. Mm-hmm. That was honestly the funniest part of the movie because it was like that. It was the original humor from, like, the first movie. I feel like the rest of it was just kind of, like, thrown in there. Like, it was just like they were trying too hard. Like, Farva eating the M&Ms, like, whole. Like, I don't... some of the stuff just kind of, like, fell flat for me.
Right. That being said, I do want to try eating M&Ms whole. Like, maybe that's a stupid...
Right?
Maybe I'm a stupid Farva and I want to just try that, but...
And I was like, okay, whatever. I get the humor they're trying to go for, but some of it just was like, and I don't know why they released it on 420 because there was no weed in this movie at all.
There was no, except for the beginning. Yes, like.
Yeah. And I was excited. I saw the beginning happening and I was like, okay. I was like, all right. And then it was like a stupid dream sequence and that was the end of it. And so it was all like pharmaceuticals and guns. And what was the other thing that they were?
Yeah, drugs, guns,
smuggling?
And something. Was there something else?
Cell phones.
Yeah, and I didn't get that. That was totally random. They didn't triangulate. Like, that was the worst part. Like, the plot was really clunky and really stupid, and it just didn't. I mean, it made sense, but it didn't make any. Like, it made sense. Oh, so suppose there's some people that are smuggling drugs and guns and cell phones across the border, and they randomly use the cell phones to track the bad guys down. Like, it's. Whatever. Don't go.
Yeah, and you could have guessed. It was so predictable too. Like, you could have guessed that it was the mayor who was doing this. Like,
oh, totally.
Yeah, but I mean, Rob Lowe was all. There were some big names in this movie. Like Emmanuel Chikri was in here, and Rob Lowe. Like,
I wonder if Lowe's a Canadian. He must be.
You think he is?
Probably. Just to open up, and they really rip into Canadians. So like the Canadians, the stereotype about Canadians is that they're just the nicest people in the world, and they lean into that pretty heavily here. And it's funny, but I mean. It could have been a...
No, Robert Lowe is a Virginian.
Oh, okay. Well, I stand corrected.
Yeah, it was bad. Some of the accents were so good and so bad, like I mentioned. And they did do a lot of jabs at like Canada versus the US. They're like, oh, being the mayor of a small Canadian town sounds so glamorous and fun, but being the mayor of a small American town just sounds like you're a big loser.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I mean, and I thought the part at the end where Emmanuel Chikri was a double agent, I think it was unnecessary.
And then she was a triple agent or something, right? She doubled and then tripled.
Yeah, she was like, yeah, it was a little confusing. She was like, you thought she was with him, but she wasn't. So she was like playing the Super Trooper guys, but then also playing Rob Lowe's character, the mayor, all for like the Canadian government, the OPP.
The OPP? You don't, oh gosh.
Wasn't great.
It wasn't great. I'm glad we got the good Icewine. I've actually meaning to try Icewine for many years because way back, remember when I made that movie, The Essentials, now available on Amazon Prime. Check it out, guys. Back when I left
you a 5-star review on there.
Gosh,
did you see
your
it?
dream. Thank you. I haven't seen it lately, but I will go back in. I don't get like notifications. I wish I did.
Oh yeah, no, I went and gave you a 5-star review.
Champ, Chel, you're a champ. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you had some haters, and I was like, screw you guys.
Yeah, screw the haters.
Screw the haters.
Well, there's a scene in the movie where they go to Canada. The movie's about a Canadian drug lord who's trying to smuggle his concoction into society through maple syrup. So they go up to a restaurant in Canada to sneak around and spy on him. And I didn't know anything about like the finer points of Canadian culture, so I just randomly wrote that they share Icewine. And this is it. And like 6 years later, here we go. Finally.
Now you're finally trying it.
And it's good. I see what they were raving about in that movie.
Yes. Well, can I tell you that the audience gave this a 69 on Rotten Tomatoes?
Yeah, that's gonna I don't know, if people still go to it, then that's really probably what matters. I just wonder if it's a cash grab. I hope they don't do 3.
I hope they don't either. Like, I mean, I was talking with Pete about it, and he's like, why can't you just let a standalone movie be like a good standalone movie?
Yeah.
Like, that'd be like trying to remake, like, I don't even know. Like Forgetting Sarah Marshall is one of my favorite movies, and I think that's like a
great
cult
standalone.
class,
yes,
funny. Yeah. Like, if they ever tried to redo that, I would be like, why? Why? Just, like, if something's good, just leave it alone.
Just leave it alone. Well, and
I feel like people are lacking creativity these days, too. I don't know. From the outside of the industry, that's what it feels like, is that we're rebooting all these old shows and just making sequels of movies that were done 20 years ago because nobody's coming up with any new storylines. There's, like, no new. It's, like, all just, like, redoing or bringing back old stuff.
Yeah, so that's why when you see a smaller independent movie like Strangers on Earth, which is coming up in early May, you should totally go check that out instead of seeing the 5th iteration of The Avengers, which we're totally going to go to the week before. But the idea is, yes, Hollywood is... they're not running out of creative ideas, but they're refusing to produce them because it's no guarantee that you're going to go to it. Like, Movie Pass or not, we went to go see this movie because of the first one. So it's like...
Yeah.
Whatever's bankable.
Well, I'm really glad that I had my Movie Pass, though, because if I had spent $12 on that movie, I would have been annoyed because it was just, oh my God. Like I said, I fell asleep in the theater. It was just not for me. I was expecting, I had way higher hopes.
Yeah, and it fell flat. Yeah, I think it tried to goofy cops, and I think they make a great TV show. I think that's what Reno 911 became. That came out a little bit after Super Troopers, and it's basically a TV version of that tone. You've seen Reno 911, right?
Here and there.
It's funny. It's improv, so that show's not actually totally scripted. Like, they don't really have lines. They just have a situation. It's like, all right, Dangle, you're here. Detective Dangle or Officer Dangle, you're here, and the person across the street just robbed the store, but they don't have any pants on. And the store owner is whatever, go. And they just improvise the whole scene. And as soon as I found that out, my respect and just appreciation for the show skyrocketed.
Oh, yeah, that's cool, because I think you said it's all improvised.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is so cool. I actually just went to a play this weekend called Puffs. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's off Broadway right now, but it's like a Harry Potter play where they focus on the Hufflepuff house instead of... It's like what was happening during those 7 years, but like as a Hufflepuff instead of as Harry Potter's like friends and stuff.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and my boyfriend's cousin is in the play, and she's one of the leads in the play.
Oh.
So we went to go see it. It was very cool, and there's one scene, and it was probably the funniest scene in the whole entire play, and that whole part is improvised every night by the actor. So, like, you never know what's going to come out.
Oh, that's cool.
And so we went to see it on 420, so the guy was like, I don't even remember what he said his name was. It was like Rick something. He's like, I'm Rick Thompson or something. I'm Rick Thompson and I'm high and this is 420 and I love smoking, and like it was just so funny because the actor just was able to use his own creative freedom to just improvise. Probably for about 3 minutes he had to just
cool.
say,
it's not just a one-liner, but it's a whole.
Yeah, no, like 3 minutes to like put on a whole little thing by himself and just like go with it, and it was so funny. One of the funniest parts of the whole thing. And I can really respect people that could do that. Like, I can't act at all. I'm not an actor. I could play myself very well, but that's about it. So when people can do that, it does heighten my respect for stuff as well.
Yeah, because that's pure, authentic performance creativity. It's like every idea is raw inception, and that's what great actors are commended for, because it does look so authentic. Like, you can tell when an actor is just going through the lines, or if it's the material speaking and not them, and that's why.
Yeah, and we didn't even know that part was improvised because he just did it so seamlessly and natural and so good. And then afterwards, Julianne, who plays Megan in the play, was like, oh yeah, that scene is improvised every single night by the actors, so we have no clue what they're going to come out with. And we actually had the understudy who was playing that role for the night, and he killed it. It was so good.
Well, cool. Well, props to Julianne. Everybody go check out the show Puffs. It's off Broadway right now.
Yeah, she actually done May 19th as her last show. So if you want to see it with Pete's cousin in it and you're in New York, tickets were like $28. It's in a cute little, it's called The World Stages or The New World Stages or something like that. And right in New York City, and it was so good. They were on Broadway for a while. Now it's off Broadway.
That sounds awesome. I definitely spend the $28. Go see live entertainment. If you're not in New York City.
Your sister would love it.
Would
Your
she?
sister, Natty, would love it.
Natty's in Texas, but I'll tell her it's maybe she can watch a trailer for it.
They filmed it, so it's gonna be
cool.
So you're gonna be able to like download it probably by the fall and like buy it online and download it.
That is neat. Okay.
Yeah.
I totally for it. Like that's the biggest reason I didn't pursue a career in Broadway is just because there's nothing like to put on the shelf at the end. It's just this live. It's the ultimate rush in performances because it's real, it's live, and it's in front of everyone. But
yeah.
But anyway, I digress. Well, folks, if you're not in New York City and you can't spend the $28 on seeing Puffs, go get a bottle of the Jackson Triggs Icewine. It's very different. I'm sure the $200 bottles are just as impressive, if not exceedingly more so. But for $28, it's kind of like a nice, sweet, alky honey.
Yeah. I think you guys should buy something like this. This is obviously not an everyday wine. But if you're a person who has a sweet tooth, I have a massive sweet tooth. So I love desserts after dinner. So maybe like if you're trying to be like fit fam, don't have the cupcake and have like a little glass of ice wine instead maybe. I don't know which has more sugar in it though.
It tastes very sugary, but it's probably not as bad as the ice cream. Let's see.
Probably not. Because there's not all that other garbage in it either.
But there's not that much of it. So I don't think you can get wasted on this. And it's only 9.3%.
Yeah, so very low alcohol. It's just meant for like sipping and enjoying and like really getting the flavors of that. All of the hard work. Ice wine's so expensive because it's a lot of work.
No, it is too. And you can taste it. I don't even want to finish. Like, obviously not going to I don't want to finish the bottle. Like, I don't. I want to save it for later. It's very intense, but in a really nice way.
It still will go bad though. So this is not a wine you can still just like pop in the fridge and leave for 2 weeks. Like it's not one of those wines that's still going to go bad, so you still need to drink it in the proper amount of time.
All right, we'll have it with dessert tomorrow.
Yes.
Folks, let us know what you're having in your dessert tomorrow too. What do you thought of the movie? If you've ever tried ice wine, if you would have paired it with anything else. If you've tried the cannabis wine, if you got a bottle.
Yes, let us know because I've honestly not had any. I don't smoke weed, but I would be curious what it tastes like if you get any of that earthiness from the weed in it or if it's just oil they put in it. I'm really curious on like how the whole process is made. Maybe I'll write an article on it.
Yeah, you totally should.
Maybe I'll do some research, write an article on weed wine. But if any of you guys have had any, please let me know and please reach out to me because I'm not going to be able to taste any unless I come to California for writing this article. So if you have had it, I would like your tasting notes so you can let me know how it was. But I know Rebel Coast Winery does have some, and I'm sure there are a bunch of other ones.
Well, to the open road. We'll find some. We'll tune back in sometimes. Folks, we'll see you again next week. I think we're going to dive into, what's that superhero movie? Oh, shit. It's like The Avengers are coming up soon.
The Avengers are coming up soon, and guys, Brendan and I are working on putting together a wine quiz for you.
Yes.
It's going to have a question from every podcast episode this season, and if you guys get all of them right, we're going to pick a lucky winner to win some fun stuff. So you guys
perhaps
can
the very first edition, the first release of any Wine About Movies swag. Oh yeah.
stay tuned. So be looking out for that in the next couple weeks. So we're really excited, and we have the Avengers next week. Have to do a fun wine with that because it's going to be a big movie.
It is.
I'm going to need like an overly expensive wine that like is exactly what you thought it was going to be. That's what I need to have.
Touche. All right, folks, if you have any ideas, let us know in the comments below. Otherwise, we'll catch you next week. Obey the speed limit.
See you later. Bye
Bye.
guys.